And a warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us for another live episode of Conversations with Michael. We are streaming live from our home studio here in the Willamette Valley of beautiful state of Oregon. Get a peek of a faded view of our part of our property here, where we have kind of a magical thing going on with the steps walking through the woodland garden, places to sit and just enjoy the sound of the birds, feel the sun hitting your face as it goes down every day. Of course, on the western part of the United States, we seem to be having, on a yearly basis now, forest fires during the summer years. This year, that too is happening, but we seem to be doing okay at this point here where we live in Oregon. Let's take our deep breath here together. And we hope that all is well inside of your own creation. Because these are simply, truly amazing times. No longer do we need to experience being human without the presence of our soul. And that in and of itself is really good news. No longer do we need to hide from our deepest fears. And perhaps, just perhaps, the deepest fear, greater than I think any virus, is our fear of life itself. I know that's a pretty strange statement. And perhaps it does sound like we lack compassion for those that are truly struggling with all the changes that are impacting life here on the planet. But not at all. Not at all. We just believe that humanity's own evolution is based in part on this underlying feeling that it's not safe to be a part of creation, no matter where you are, whether you're here on Earth or out there in the etheric realms. We brought that feeling with us from all of our adventures in the stars, in the etheric realms. But that has changed dramatically during this lifetime, as now thousands of human beings worldwide they did something truly extraordinary. And in a way, it was unexpected. Instead of hiding from our fears, instead of shutting down, they acknowledged them. And then they released them from controlling their experience of reality by doing what? Well, by doing what most beings fear the most. They accepted them for what they are. And amazingly, it allowed them to not get engaged with that conflicted energy and to move on with their life just by accepting them and not getting engaged. From our perspective, with so many fully conscious human beings now on this planet, we are witnessing, perhaps for the first time, Christ consciousness in action on a global scale. This is kind of like the times of Yeshua, but they are turbocharged. So this state of consciousness is helping to restore a trust in self as being sovereign creators of our own experience. Reminding all of us that through the eyes of our soul, we are indeed innocent beings. Such is the grace of consciousness itself. We just got tired of playing that game called karma. We discovered that guilt and shame can bring even the greatest saint to their knees. We discovered that acceptance and forgiveness are really good allies to keep in your back pocket. Forgiving ourselves for whatever we've done to ourselves or any other being that didn't respect the sacredness of our life or theirs. So our lives are now changing at such an incredible rate, which is really good news for those that are embracing life while feeling a new sense of passion and joy. What have we discovered, my friends? Well, for a lot of us, our manifestations are now happening in real time. What once used to take months or years or even lifetimes is now showing up in our lives on a daily basis. And what is accelerating these changes is really a mystery to most of creation. What did we discover here, my friends? It's called love. We found that loving yourself has such a dramatic impact on the quality of our lives. So during today's session, it's time to take yet another step forward. Yes, another one of those quantum leaps. In part in relationship to how we are acting as supports to each other. We've been referring to the language of the heart for the last 20 years as being the original form of communication for your soul. Well, now it's time to allow this most sacred language to really serve you consciously. Why? Because it takes a lot of courage to be at the forefront of all these changes here on earth. Those that we have the honor of serving now know that the changes we want to see on the outside must first change from within. So that what we do perceive on the outside is but a reflection of the state of our own inner reality. Yeah, I get it. We've heard this perspective spoken countless times by a variety of different people over many, many lifetimes, but now something just clicked. it was very, very important to allow in this lifetime those divine qualities of ourself and to allow them to step forward, to be at the front of our life. And over time, as your radiance started to expand, you no longer felt so alone on this planet. Loneliness being yet another feeling we brought with us. It's a beautiful thing to experience a sense of being complete within the presence of your own soul here in this human experience. It's also a beautiful thing to be able to share that feeling with others. You could say in a nutshell, that is why Ancient Wings exists. During most of our past lifetimes, we would do just about anything to feel this divine support from a variety of non-physical beings. Archangel Michael heard the call countless times. But even he, in his own magnificence, found it very difficult to break through the barriers, the density that existed between his own reality and this physical realm, leaving us once again feeling abandoned, like a stranger living on a strange land. But so much has changed during this lifetime. In fact, as we speak, there are more fully conscious human beings on this planet than ever before. We're speaking of those that have not only embraced, but embodied the presence of their soul inside their human body. They acknowledged that the energy they were feeling all these years that spoke directly to their own heart was indeed their soul. It represents a truly amazing feat, but it doesn't end there. They also chose to experience this presence in their day-to-day reality as a human being. But that choice required a tremendous amount of compassion for this human experience, because the embodiment doesn't happen overnight. In fact, in order to integrate such a presence in the physical body, you must be willing to allow the body to work at its own pace. So they accepted these carbon-based bodies just as they are, which in turn did what? Well, it allowed the light body to begin to slowly blend with it. Most of humanity would suggest such an experience can only be realized once you leave this planet. In the background, so to speak, there also exist thousands of other awakened humans, which we believe will radically increase during this lifetime, especially during the next 10 to 20 years, some of which are actually watching today's session. But a lot of these awakened humans, they have yet to truly experience their soul as a tangible presence in their own reality. So our work is to continue serving those who have a sincere, heartfelt desire to experience their own magnificence. I know firsthand it's not an easy choice, because it exposes all the ways we have pretended not to be that. It exposes all the fear-based perceptions that convince us to hide from life, relying instead on a variety of codependent relationships as a substitute for being sovereign. So despite the fact that so many fully conscious human beings now reside on this planet, their presence, for the most part, is still unknown to most people. But that too is about to change. But in a way that also honors and respects their own privacy. Let's take our collective deep breath as we allow all the energies that are here today in support of your own freedom to begin to blend and merge with your own physical body. And let's sit here for a moment and just breathe with that. Because there's a lot of energies here today. If you've been following our work, you're already pretty familiar with how Michael's presence supports us. Most certainly as an energy that is connected to the teachings of Michael and ancient wings, but Michael, or Michael if you prefer, enjoys taking many forms. One of his favorites with me is to blend his presence and share it with us through the song of a bird. But what Michael is inviting all of you to participate in today is somewhat new. It's time, once again, my friends, to reset our radiance. But in a way that kind of took me by surprise. Because the human soul relationship is such a unique experience. But it's also very challenging. It can be very challenging to open yourself up to all the energies that are here to support you, while also living alongside all the fear that has become the norm for most human beings. Challenging for some to hear that others have integrated their soul while they are perhaps in the process of trying to make that real for themselves. So sometimes all it takes is a little help from a friend. So Michael is offering something new today. He tells me he wants to play with this for a while, inside Ancient Wings, before sharing it with some of the other groups he also works with. So going forward, through the teachings of Michael, he will join with us, with his friends, prior to every workshop, every class, every live event Ancient Wings now presents. Why? To help you better understand the experience of the language of the heart in action. Because this type of sharing doesn't rely on words, doesn't rely on thoughts, nor does it rely on your human emotions. It represents an unfiltered type of communication that speaks directly to the core of your own heart, helping us to feel the unlimited support from a variety of beings who know that this is our time. And to also know that you don't need to feel alone any longer, ever again. So, Michael wants me to be very clear about what he's offering here. He's inviting a few of his non-physical friends. I know some of those. And right at the front there's Metatron and Raphael. But there's more. And some of these fully conscious or enlightened human beings to join us. Excuse me. Went down the wrong tube there with the water. Give me a moment. So I don't personally, as Robert, I don't really know these enlightened human beings he's invited to join us. I don't even know how he is doing that, but it is happening. I can certainly feel quite a few number of still present human beings that are what we consider to be fully conscious or enlightened, because they've done what we explained earlier. They've allowed the presence of their soul to be present in their physical body. He's invited them to participate 30 minutes prior to every live stream we present. You don't need a computer or a mobile device to participate in this yourself. You don't need to be a paid participant in any of our live classes or courses or workshops to experience the quality of this support. You don't even need to follow Ancient Wings or any of our teachings, but of course you're welcome to if they happen to speak to your heart. You do, however, need to give Michael permission to serve you in this way, because it can be a life-changing experience. Using the language of the heart, 30 minutes prior to the start of any of our live events, Michael and his friends will share their radiance as a form of communication in support of some of the most courageous beings that have ever existed in all of creation. That would be all of you, including me, of two, whose lives as human beings are inspiring this human family to make inspired choices, which also gives countless beings throughout all of creation what? My friends, it gives them a lot of hope. Knowing that a few souls here on earth allowed the heart of creation to play a part in their own life, allowing the doing part and the being part to finally coexist. And if you're not tapping yourself on the back, what the hell are you waiting for? I'll give you this moment. Go ahead. Tap yourself on the back. You deserve it. You're at the front line of the leading edge within all creation. You just got stuck in the human story. Now, of course, some of you might be asking, how is this ancient language any different from how I'm currently communicating? Well, that's a really good question. We could talk about it, or better yet, why not just experience it for yourself? Let's do that right now. As Michael, as he always does, begins to step forward, shining his magnificence for all of you to feel, he invites you to allow his presence to speak directly to your own heart, not as a voice in your head, not through your thoughts, but just as something you can feel. So to help you with that, we created a short 10-minute video just to help you to relax into this. Now, if it helps, and it does, practice conscious breathing while you're watching the video. Now, this represents part 1 of what we're offering here today. We'll get to part 2 in a few minutes. Take a deep breath and enjoy the video. And very good. So let's take a really deep breath. And let's put our attention at the bottom of your feet. You're feeling the energy, allowing it to come up through the base of your feet, entering your whole physical body, allowing it to circulate through the entire body. For some of you, rub your hands together, get comfortable getting fully present back in your own physical body. So Michael spoke to each of you individually. What did you feel? His presence is just here to inspire you. He won't do anything for you. What did you feel? How are you feeling right now? Very good. Very good. Now let's go a little deeper with this. Because for most of you, it's pretty easy to trust in Michael's energy. I'd say a lot of you here have a pretty long-term relationship with him, especially the Archangel Michael. But it's not just his presence that is here today. He invited a variety of fully conscious human beings to join him. So this time we're going to play the video again, but this time we invite you to feel the presence of some of these other enlightened human beings. Those that have allowed the presence of their soul to be present in their heart, in their mind, and in their body. They didn't ascend from this planet. They are here today for one reason: to help support your own heartfelt desire to reunite with your own soul. They are, however, not using thoughts or words to communicate with any of you. Instead of traveling to your home and meeting you in person, they're connecting with you energetically using the language of the heart. And during this part 2, you can ask them any question you want. But the answer will come to you in the form of energy as you are feeling it. So how do you know what is being shared? Well, how does it feel energetically in your own heart when you truly appreciate yourself? Let's just do that right now. How does that feel? And just breathe with that for a while. A deep and sincere appreciation for being you. Perhaps using that conscious breath again to breathe that sense of appreciation just for yourself. How does it change how you're feeling in your body? Very good. Very good. How does it feel when you're feeling very passionate about something? Go ahead and try it. Let yourself go into just the feeling. Very good. Notice how the energy changed, shifted. That passion attracts, well, the elements of fire. Maybe it doesn't feel so like golden butter filling your whole body. Maybe it's got a little more spark to it, a little more excitement to it. How does it feel when you accept yourself completely just as you are? And would it be honest to say that's a work in progress still? And that's okay. But are you willing to play with feeling that way about you, accepting you just as you are? How does it feel when you're content? All these are natural expressions of your love for yourself. We are actually constantly communicating with each other through our own radiance. We just weren't conscious of this type of exchange that's happening in the background when we are so fixated with doing life most of the time, thinking most of the time, reacting emotionally most of the time. So let's play the video once again, but this time Michael's going to step back and allow some of your enlightened human friends to step forward. So let's take a very deep breath. Go back to that conscious breathing. And once again, take a very deep breath. And feel the energy. This time, feel it in your heart and perhaps coming through the top of your head. Because did you notice a radical difference where you feel more grounded, connected to your human experience, the human body, when there's a sharing between yourself and another fully conscious, enlightened human being? Not to be critical of Michael, of course, but it almost is a little easier to relate to that energy for the human part. For the human part. Very good. Very good. We encourage all of you to practice opening yourself to this quality of support that is now available to you really anytime you want. It's a beautiful alternative to those Zoom meetings. You can set up your own time to meet with a variety of beings, physical or not, to help you feel a little more comfortable living alongside your human family. It allows you to be on this planet, but not of it, in a very creative way. Now, some of you who do participate in our work, in particular our online group sessions, you're asking, will this displace those? Well, maybe in time they might, but for now, they serve a really good purpose. We'll go much deeper into the language of the heart in all of our upcoming classes, and in particular the iSpirit program. But for now, Michael and his friends, and those friends, at least the human friends that are still on the planet, they'll change every time they present themselves. They agreed to meet with all of you for 30 minutes prior to the start of any of our live events. Let's take another deep breath. Before I created Ancient Wings, in service to the teachings of Michael, I spent most of my time inside of my wood shop, silently creating a lot of custom furniture. I would become so immersed working with the energy inside the wood that I felt like I was actually giving the tree a second life. And when I wasn't in my shop, I would often spend hours sitting at the base of a tree in the forest near my shop, just listening and feeling the sounds of nature. To me, it represented some of the most beautiful music I've ever heard. I'm not a person that has spent a lot of time in my life talking. Perhaps like a lot of you, I avoid most social gatherings because the noise I hear sounds an awful lot like what I also hear in my own head. A lot of noise. Working with Michael over all these years, I've never talked so much in my entire life as I'm doing right now. I still find myself after a class or a private session just spending a lot of time listening. And one of my favorites is listening to the wind, especially while laying in my hammock. And while listening to the wind, I slowly begin to feel its own story, as strange as that might sound. But that's the best way I can describe it, using the language of the heart. Perhaps it just traveled through the peaks of the Rocky Mountains in Canada, making its way through the plains of the state of Washington. Perhaps it was just passing through the Willamette Valley of Oregon. whatever path the wind has taken, it too doesn't share its adventure using thoughts or the spoken word. And yet I can feel, as it passes through me, how it touched a herd of stallions running free through the prairies in Washington. Or it carries with it the scent of a peach orchard in the Willamette Valley. I don't know how I can feel that. I simply trust that it's real because I can feel it. So the elements of nature are alive and well here. They can be trusted, my friends. The wind doesn't actually stop when it touches your body. It invites you to join it, to follow it energetically as it continues its journey. You're free to return anytime to your physical body. And I know firsthand, yes, it can feel to your mind like it's kind of lost control. Well, thank God, it's about time. It actually is about time. There exists a free-flowing communication between all parts of the natural world. Nature doesn't rely on an online streaming service. It uses a very ancient form of communication. During the last few years, science has discovered that trees communicate with each other by sending chemical, hormonal, and slow pulsing electrical signals. Sound familiar? Actually, the latest vaccine is a testament to the lack of communication between the DNA and RNA strands in your own body. How do these molecules communicate? Get online, look it up. It's really fascinating. Better yet, feel with the presence of your soul how the body is able to reflect a state of consciousness that relies on open and direct communication between all parts of itself, no matter what realm they reside in. My friends, we're moving away from a reality that has been managed for eons by the doing part, the mind, the energetic part. We're moving into a reality that is already known to different parts of us. They've just been lying dormant inside this human experience for a very, very long time. The support we once received while relying on a mental construct of a reality has radically shifted. You've all discovered the support no longer exists outside of us. But it's not a shift that happens overnight. Nor is it a shift that you have to do alone. So if you enjoyed what you experienced in today's session, and we hope you did, because it opens up so many closed systems of reality within your own self, then Michael invites you, with your permission, to join us 30 minutes prior to any of our live streams. He'll be waiting for you. Again, you don't need to be on the internet to participate, but you do need to pay attention. Go to our website and mark on your calendar all the upcoming events. They're all there, posted on the homepage. Practice conscious breathing and trust in the flow of energy that is being shared with you. I'm very excited by all the possibilities that lie ahead of us. Where we are going will make the internet feel so limited in comparison. Thank you for joining us today. We really look forward to our next session. All of our blessings to all of you.